IPMNation.com.
Hello, this is Ryan Lemay from Sonic Wallpaper.
And I am Randy Bartlett from the Riverbank House.
And you are listening to Local Outbreak on 100.1 FM, The Planet. And IPM Nation.
Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. This is Matt from IPM Nation, and we are at the studio at 50 Canal Street in downtown Laconia. Come on by and say hello to Melissa if you haven't yet. TheStudioNH.com is the website if you want to take a look online. Funky little gift shop and art gallery, and always some cool stuff to look at on the walls and cool gifts to buy. And let's see. Also, we're sponsored by Tweak Sound and Mastering. TweakSound.com is the website if you need some audio production done. And and I almost forgot Central NH Events. CentralNHEvents.com. Mr. Tim Martin will do a phenomenal job for you if you need a DJ for your event. And we have with us, returning this week for, what is this, your 17th appearance, I think?
Yeah.
You're like Alec Baldwin is to SNL. You are to Local Outbreak.
I like SNL.
There you go. Ryan Lemay is here. Do you like Alec Baldwin?
Not so much.
All right. And so Ryan's here to update us on everything that's been going on with Sonic Wallpaper, so I'm looking forward to that. And he brought another gentleman with him, Randy
Bartlett.
Randy Bartlett. And why are you here, Randy? What's your involvement?
Oh, just showing up for a good time.
Yeah, well, that's we put the word out. If you're looking for a good time, show up with Ryan.
Yeah,
like
Ryan
that.
invited me down because he's Ryan has introduced his program, Sonic Wallpaper, to the Riverbank House, which is an extended care recovery community.
Okay,
and so he kind of found us, and through this, he's already brought his sessions to our house. And I don't know, how many guys did you have the first time? 7 or 8 guys?
Yeah, I think 7, including Doug.
And I got to tell you, we try to do a lot of things at the Riverbank House to keep guys active, and it was just one more thing during the week to get guys engaged and involved, and it was really cool.
It's a great session, too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I had a couple characters in there. I like these guys a lot already. Yeah, there's a couple of really good guys in there that I really dig hanging out with. So
cool.
And one of them is actually probably a couple of them are absolute naturals.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah.
Yeah, watch for that.
Cool. Well, we'll hear about all of that in a minute. But Ryan, you're gonna play live for us here at the studio.
Yes, I am.
You brought your guitar. What are you gonna play for us tonight?
Some original jamming.
Yeah.
Just a little ditty, I think.
Yeah. Does it have a name?
No, but you know what? As we usually do, you're going to probably name it.
Cool.
So it's, for all 4 of these, or however many times you have me play, I'm going to play stuff that I teach.
Oh, okay.
And we talked about how I approach teaching, how I break it down into pieces, simplify it.
Right.
And then reconstruct it so that they feel like they can actually do it once you put it in pieces, and it's stuff that probably sounds a lot harder than it is. So,
well, I think then this first song should be called "Broken in Pieces."
Done.
All right. So this is "Broken in Pieces" from Ryan Lemay. Oh, one half of the New Prophets. You're still with the New Prophets, right?
I am.
Right. I forgot to mention that in your introduction.
I thought we decided last time I was here, I'm 3/4 of the New Prophets.
Well, I was trying to be kind to Mr. Lachlan. He is the original host of the show, after all.
Right.
All right. So this is "Broken into Pieces" by 3/4 of the New Prophets, Ryan Lemay, here on Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet.
IPMNation.com.
Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet, and we are here with Ryan Lemay and Randy Bartlett.
You got it.
All right. My memory's working. Randy, I feel like I've seen you around somewhere. Do you play? Are you a musician?
No, I just look famous.
Do you? Yeah. do you look like, has someone told you look like somebody famous?
Yeah, Ben Stiller.
No, there is somebody.
No compliment I really wanted to get, but I've heard that one before.
No, you look like a younger the guy from, and I've never actually watched the show, but the guy from Sons of Anarchy, the patriarch.
Oh, geez, I don't watch that show.
I forget the name of the actor.
Me.
Do you remember his name?
I couldn't tell you, and I don't watch that show either.
Oh, okay.
So that means I look like a gang member? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm gonna no. Well, no, it's a motorcycle gang. It's not like he's Bloods and Crips or something. That'd be weird.
I'm only kidding.
But no, I'll show you. But before you leave tonight, I'll show you online who I'm talking about because Perlman, Ron Perlman. That's his name. You look like Ron Perlman.
Well, as long as I don't emanate that type of aura about myself, I'm good.
So Ryan, give us the update with Sonic Wallpaper. What's new since we last talked? What was that, 3 or 4 months ago, or
I think so,
something like that? The time slips away from me.
So I read a newspaper.
Good.
Yep. And in reading that newspaper, I saw I'm going somewhere with this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't just read a newspaper. I read about this place called the Riverbank House. In the Daily Sun. I'm 99% sure.
Either that or the Citizen, both. Yeah.
It might have been either. I don't know. But randomly, I picked it up. I think I was eating at Annie's, which is awesome. And I picked up one of the Suns, and I read this article about the Riverbank House, which, as Randy already told you, is, I don't know, how do you phrase it, long-term?
You could say Substance Abuse Recovery Center is probably the best way to say it.
But it kind of struck me as different than a lot of the other ones because I feel like their approach has been a little bit different, and the way that they run it is different. And I saw in there was one guy that couldn't afford it, and he talked to Randy, he said, come down anyway, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
So that kind of thinking and that kind of philosophy is what I'm about.
Yeah.
So when I read that, I'm like, I got to reach out to these guys and see if somehow we can put something together and partner up. And I had a bunch of ideas bounce around in my head about how we could help each other. But what that kind of morphed into is I met with him, and then now I'm doing, on Thursday nights, I'm doing lessons for the residents over there.
Yeah.
Any of them that want to participate. And also we're raising a lot of the money we collect through the Wednesday nights at the community center is being funneled in to help people who run out of money midway through treatment.
Yeah.
Because they've been shouldering that for a while, from what I can tell. So we hope to alleviate some of that.
Yeah.
So we're on our way to doing that.
So how many? You mentioned obviously not everyone participates there, but how many do participate?
I think we had 7 the first night.
Okay.
It always grows.
Yeah.
So if I started with 7, and these guys start playing around the house, and I set them up with a couple in-house guitars to keep during the session.
Yeah.
When they start playing, when they start showing, they're getting better, and these guys hear them, they're going to want to get involved too.
Right.
So it'll grow, but right now I think there's 7.
Okay. So the idea being, because I've heard this, I've heard addicts say, keep me busy, give me something to do, and that way I'm not thinking about, people who are addicted, and even people who are addicted to cigarettes who are trying to quit, I've heard say, if I stay busy, I don't think about it.
It's all about rewiring.
Yeah.
Rewiring and relearning.
Yeah.
And I think that guitars, or any musical instrument for that matter, even just singing, is a great way to be able to express yourself and just get it out when you need to. Guitar especially is a really expressive instrument, I feel.
All the guys that are there that are doing this, are they all doing guitar specifically? Okay, yeah. So when you first started this, did you kind of have to sell them on it, or was everybody who participates interested right away? Because I know sometimes when you present something to people, you have to kind of talk them into it and say, yeah, this is different. You maybe weren't expecting this, but trust me, it's going to be cool, Right.
I think that he would answer that better than me. I got the feeling that all I really needed to do is explain what I was doing.
Yeah. What do you think, Randy? Was it?
I didn't present it to the guys, but I know that all we did was say, hey, who's interested? And we had a good group sign up.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there wasn't much.
Right. So the
controlling.
riverbank.
No, I mean
itself-
they really like to be engaged. I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing all kinds of different recreational stuff over there, and we're outside a couple days a week doing different things. So when we said, and actually they were out all day the night you did that. I forget where they were that day, but they were out on a trip all day long, and probably had a few guys didn't come. Probably next time they'll have double the crowd because they were tired from the day's recreational activity.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a great class, and I didn't know. And this doesn't have anything to do with the location because I told you the same thing when I started with the kids out in Franklin. Mm-hmm. You never know what you're walking into.
Right.
I've been playing out live for over 25 years, and me and Mike discussed it one time here how I never get nervous, and I don't know why.
Right, yeah.
But those type of situations, I get nervous. I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was walking into.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I was kind of blown away, man. Like, there's some really cool guys in there, and we got along fantastic. They were all very attentive and showed a desire to learn, which was awesome.
Are they all starting from scratch, or were some of them
It's a
already
mixture.
musicians to
Yeah,
some degree?
there's one guy that's been jamming for a while. I would say there's a couple guitarists in there. But we're going to turn them into musicians.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I add a lot of theory.
Yeah.
So anyone can learn guitar, but you have to make a real effort to become a musician.
Right.
So, and that's what I do with all the classes. I always incorporate lots of music theory, so they'll know a lot when we're done, and they'll be able to write, interpret, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it'll be awesome for them.
Do you ever, I feel like I've probably asked you this before, but do you ever run into someone who you just can't, or they just can't, or maybe they don't want to do that part of it, the theory part of it?
They're just resistant to learning the theory part, and they just want to jam, just show me some chords?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Or they've kind of talked themselves into thinking they can't learn theory. 'Cause that's how I don't know anything.
Every one of them.
Really? Yeah.
At the beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's my job to get that turned around.
Yeah.
So, and to explain why it's important, just maybe I have to kind of prove myself a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
At the beginning, and then take it from there.
Makes
But,
sense.
Yeah, I think everyone just wants to pick up a guitar and play.
Right.
I haven't met anyone who didn't think that
Yeah.
was what they wanted to do. Not all of them think that's possible, but
Yeah.
that's what they want.
I'm reminded of there was an episode of The Simpsons, which I haven't watched in forever, but where what's his name, Homer had bought Bart a guitar, and somehow it comes up in conversation, what about the guitar? And Bart says, well, I wasn't good at it right away, so I
Right.
put it in the closet and forgot about it. Yeah.
We have some attrition. Not much, though.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of the amount that we have. I mean, it's very little.
Yeah.
So I think that says something about how we're approaching it. So that makes me happy.
Right.
When we
right.
start having attrition, then I'll start thinking about how to change it up. But right now, we just don't have that problem. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. I think I'd be doing a huge disservice if I just came in, taught them the basics of guitar, showed them a handful of chords, and sent them on their way.
Right.
I
right.
really do. I don't think that long term that's the way to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll be out there struggling for the next 10 or 20 years.
Right.
This way has a much steeper learning curve. It takes a little more effort. At the end of the day, it's so much more worth going that route. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
What did you think when Ryan approached you, Randy, with this? I mean,
he approached a couple of our staff. And
Okay.
Then they approached me.
Oh,
And
okay.
I didn't get it at first. I didn't understand what was going on.
Really?
And they
Yeah.
explained it to me a little clearer. And they said, "Why don't you come in and meet with them?" And I'm like, and then we met and we were just kicking things around. And then I was like, oh wow! I really started to fall in love with his idea. And he actually inspired me to start thinking about what we can do in our own program to give a little bit more. And so we're going to start doing a few more things as far as some giveaways on our end starting in April.
Yeah.
So his goodwill effort caused me to look at some possibly other ways to raise funds for guys who can't afford our level of care, some additional grant beds that we're going to give away, some additional free beds that we're going to give away. So, and I honestly, we probably would have been trying to do something, but not at the level until you came in. So he really actually inspired a little bit of change
Oh, that's
for us
great.
in our thinking. So yeah, goodwill motivates goodwill, right?
yeah, absolutely.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
is doing this. I can't stop volunteering for things now.
Right.
Or coming up with new ways to try to, help the cause and what we're
Yeah.
fighting for. And it's the good fight, man, and it helps every one of us.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you asked me the first time we talked about sonic wallpaper, but the one question I get that kind of just drives me berserk is, why do you do it?
Yeah.
I don't understand that question. Why wouldn't you do it? If you have the ability to help and you don't, you're part of the problem.
Right,
It's
right.
just my opinion. And
Yeah.
I think that we can all recognize that there is an issue out there. And there's things that are destroying our community that need to stop.
Absolutely.
So let's be that change.
Well, when we after this next song, I want to come back and talk about that a little more and get to learn more about, I forget, the Riverbank. What's the entire name?
The Riverbank House.
It's just the Riverbank House.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to learn more about that too when we come back. But Ryan, why don't you play another song?
Yeah,
for us?
you want to name it again?
Yes, I think we should call this one. Randy looks like Ron Perlman.
I was going to say the death of Ron Perlman.
Oh, that's even better.
name the
That's
song,
even
The
better.
Death of Ron
I
Perlman.
kept that name. That last original I came when last time the New Prophets were here.
Yeah.
And remember you named it? Because I didn't have a name
I
yet.
remember, but I don't remember what I named it.
You named it Give It a Name.
Oh, okay.
And that actually fit the song, and it fit the lyrics, and it fit what I was trying to say in the song, which is really ironic.
Yeah.
But that stuck. So that's what that song's still called.
Irony or fate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll call this one The Death of Ron Perlman?
Absolutely.
All right. Ryan's going to play that for us now, and then we will be right back.
IPMNation.com.
Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. This is Matt from IPM Nation, and we are here tonight at the studio at 50 Canal Street in downtown Laconia, talking with Ryan Lemay about Sonic Wallpaper. And, of course, Randy Bartlett is here, too, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about Riverbank, the Riverbank House. I do want to remind everybody, of course, before we continue, that if you'd like to hear any of our previous conversations, because, Ryan, I think you've been on twice talking about Sonic Wallpaper specifically, right?
Yes.
So if you want to hear those, we do have those archived at IPMNation.com/local outbreak. And that might be kind of interesting to go back for people to go back and listen to, and they can kind of hear the evolution of what you've done, because you've done a lot with it in a relatively short period of time, because it started in Franklin, right?
It did.
And then you kind of came to Laconia and really expanded it. And,
Yeah, and just to set the record straight, I haven't done a lot with it. The people, my support system has done a lot with it.
Yes.
I think it's just important to mention that.
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah.
many people behind the scenes that do
Yeah.
the majority of the work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started in Franklin at Toad Hall. We
Yep.
had Todd Workman
Yes.
from Toad Hall that came in. I just saw him the other day. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of good things out in Franklin. He's the permaculture guy out there doing all that cool stuff. So,
Yeah.
and then we kind of outgrew that.
Yeah.
And they were looking to move some of it over to the community center in Franklin. And there was, I feel like there was some red tape and hoops and stuff to jump through. And I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So I bull through stuff. So
Yeah.
if you put something, I'm just going to go through it or around it.
Right, right.
I don't have the patience to deal with that. I've got too much to get done.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah.
I'm like, I talked to Chief Adams here in town, who I knew a little bit, and he is the guy that made everything happen, and he made it happen overnight.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Very cool.
He got a hold of the community center. What nights do you have available? He got a hold of the press. Ed Pierce at the Citizen did an article on us when we moved.
Yeah.
He made all of that happen. And then a whole truckload of businesses around here donated to the program.
Yeah.
And we now have a surplus of guitars.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah, not a bad problem to have.
No, not at all. That's fantastic. Good for you.
I went out
Congratulations.
on a short little fundraising drive, maybe a week.
Yeah.
I think we got 23 guitar
No
packages
kidding.
out of it.
In 1 week?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Just
fantastic.
about, maybe
Good
a week
for
and
you.
a half. But
Good for you.
Not much more than that.
No, that's great. That's great. And I think it's important to kind of shine a light on, sometimes something that sounds, because when it can be daunting. I think how you mentioned in the second segment, like people ask you, why do you do this?
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons people don't do things like this, my theory, is that it seems too daunting, and they think, and maybe there's some cynicism in that people
Sure.
feel, and they feel like, well, I can't, I could try, but what's it really going to yield and whatnot? And I think it's important to show that you have proven. I'm genuinely impressed. You got 23 guitar packages in a week and a half, or a week, or whatever it was.
It says a lot about the community, too,
Right,
I think.
right. But it also shows that you can do something to make a difference, and you might be surprised at what kind of results by putting in the effort and by being positive about it and believing that it's worth doing, that you really can make a difference.
I think that's what sold it, too, is like, I'm just so behind this whole thing, and I
Right.
want to see it happen. I want to see it do good.
Right.
And I think these guys, when I approached them, could see that.
Right.
And they got behind it, and it's not a hard thing to sell, if you will.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
Not only can we try to do a little prevention type stuff with kids that are coming through the program, maybe mentor them. We talked about that, I think, last time I was here a little bit. And
Yeah.
steer them in the right direction. I've always felt that one person can make a huge impact on your life. We all have that those one or two people that you can probably think back and we're like, they were really instrumental, like on helping me take the path
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that I ended up on instead of.
Well, you had even brought on a student, Danielle,
Yeah.
who came on and talked about how it had helped her and whatnot, and that was really cool.
That was a great story.
Yeah.
And she had just moved up from Georgia and had just lost her dad. And didn't have her guitar. I think something happened to it bad.
Okay.
Right before she moved. Didn't have one up here. Didn't have a lot of friends up here. She just got here. She was kind of introverted, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's the other cool thing about music, man. It'll get you out of your shell.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure. And she came to the program. Her aunt, who she's living with, came up to me. She told me she didn't have a guitar. So I'm like, take mine. Like, I had an extra one. So I'm like, take this one for this duration of the session.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And she was delighted, and they were all in tears when they left. And I heard
Oh,
her
I bet.
say on the way out, I guess it's not so bad up here after all. And she was really happy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if that's the one story I tell when all this is said and done, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she kept coming, and she met friends, and she formed some bonds within the group with other kids that come, which is really cool. When you collaborate with music, there's a special kind of bond you get usually.
Oh, absolutely.
And then recently, for her birthday, I actually bought her a guitar. Which was,
that's nice.
So
Yeah.
I called her on up. I'm like, tell her to come by and see me. I just want to say hi or whatever. So they came into town. They dropped by, and they gave it to her, and she was delighted.
Oh,
So
wow.
she didn't have one since I closed. Remember, one thing we talked about is when I moved that program from Franklin, Laconia.
Yeah.
Like, I thought a lot about that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an easy thing to do, because there was a lot of people that I felt that were in the program that needed it.
Right,
So
right.
moving it, I didn't take lightly.
Well, some went with you, though, right? Didn't
Some did come with me, and,
Yeah.
I think some more will be coming, from what I understand.
Good.
Which is really, I mean, a lot did come.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time when I moved it. If
Right.
what was going to happen, if they were going to
Sure.
be able to, or what have you. So that's one thing. Like I said, I didn't take that lightly. So since we ended it in Franklin, she hasn't had a guitar.
Okay.
So I found that out, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
it's not okay.
Yeah.
So through the program, I was able to make that happen.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, it's cool.
Randy, tell us more about the Riverbank House. What do you do there? Do you run it? Are you the director, or what?
No, I am, well, I guess the founder, and
Okay.
I'm involved a little less than I was when we started out. There's a really great crew of staff there
Yeah.
and advocates that help out. There's about 15 now, I think. And it's a beautiful neighborhood. There's I was trying to think, like, what do I want to talk about? All the amenities and the homes of the program, but we have 7 beautiful waterfront properties. They're all on the Winnipesaukee River, old Victorian remodeled homes. There's 1 retail center, and there's currently 45 beds, adding another 20 probably midsummer.
Wow.
And as it's growing, what we've been doing is the houses, it's all, I don't know how it actually happened, but we've actually been able to buy every single house on 2 sides of the river without any house blocking us in between. So it has literally become a little sober living community.
That's great.
Yeah,
wow.
It's pretty amazing, actually. And only 2 of all the homes were for sale. I just went in and asked if the people would sell, and they said yes. So
I've never heard of anything quite like that. That kind of a situation where you have, it's not just all in one building, but you have, as you put it, a community.
Right.
In that context, I've never really heard of. I mean, maybe that exists other places, but I've never heard of that.
I think it does, maybe not at quite the same community level, because we really do have guys. I have a few guys that are with us over 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
So guys are coming in, they're getting clean and sober. Some are going back to school, some are just finding careers, whatever. But they're sticking around, and they're strength in numbers, and the community just keeps building and growing.
Wow.
And from the beginning, we started with an 18-bed home where we kind of opened up it was an old boarding house, and we just renovated it, gutted it out, and made it a beautiful renovated home.
Yeah.
And it started with that, and one after another. And amenity-wise, because we're waterfront, we have kayaks and canoes and a pontoon boat and mountain bikes.
Wow.
We've got a basketball court, and we just literally today, to the residents only, opened up what will become a public yoga studio.
Okay.
On the 15th of February. Beautiful little location, and in April we're going to open up a rec center with pool tables and foosball and ping pong and all that stuff. And, and also all the homes are beautiful. The staff is awesome. The program's really good. What we do differently than a lot of substance abuse recovery centers is we do an extremely high rec base. So from an experiential level, we're going out hiking, we're biking. We hike in the winter. We do things that most places just don't take guys out to do. So whether it's hiking, biking, kayaking, canoeing, sailing, we rent the ice skating rink. They just went down to this thing in Boston. That's what they were doing last week. I don't know what it is, but there's this new wild deal in Boston. It's like indoor, I don't know what's the paintball, but it's not paintball. It's like a bunch of different, very high team building level type of experiences. And I wish I could remember the name of it, but they come back raving about what a good time it was. So that's the neighborhood, you could say. The program is a full structured, high level structured daily program. So 6 days a week, the guys are busy. And they'll come in and they'll meet with a recovery coach once a week. They'll get integrated into Alcoholics Anonymous outside meetings. We have a 40, almost a 40-point curriculum that we roll through one session a week, everything from anger management through to personal finance. So there's a lot of high-level life skill stuff going on there, and it's just a really great sense of community. And I got to tell you, from the day that we've opened, we have had the most amazing group of guys come through. Like, it's really amazing to see, after guys get clean and sober for a little bit, the bonds that are building between these guys, the friendships that are building. And I think that's the glue that holds it all together as far as guys being willing to stay longer. Because when you've been using for a long period of time, you're disconnected from everything. And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you, what was it, because you're the founder of it, what was it that drove you to do that?
I've been in and out of the recovery system for decades.
Yeah.
So I'm a late bloomer getting sober, and in 2004 was one of my first serious passes getting sober, and I went up to a place in Plymouth, and I got my first look at the step process of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
And I made my first big turnaround, and I remember being there going, I'm going to do this someday.
Wow.
And it just took that long for it to take shape. 5 or 6 years ago, a friend of mine, I was selling off another business, and I was buying real estate, and he's like, I have the perfect place for you. And I walked on the property and walked down with these big 3-foot round oak trees and the river right there. And I'm like, you know what? Done.
No kidding.
If there's a place to start over, this is it. And
wow.
So that's how it all kind of started. And I got into it because I've been in and out of a ton of different substance abuse recovery centers myself.
Yeah.
And I was in the sign business for 25 years, and at the end, when I was just not getting well, family said, why don't you just do something different? And
right.
And that's how it all kind of started. It was like, all right, well, why don't I get involved in a different venture? I've been wanting to do this for years and years and years. And honestly, now, in hindsight, when I look at it, I'm like, these guys have an opportunity to do what I didn't do in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, my poor example of how to get well should be a real good example for guys to do it right. Because one of the things I know for sure works, and it wasn't really that available when I was younger, was long-term care.
Yeah.
Now, guys can come to us for as little as 2 weeks, 28 days, but I got to tell you, most guys stay 5 months or more. They get in, they see what's going on, they get engaged, and so they get in this highly structured environment and really learn to live, get passionate about things again. And I know that if you look at the facts, and I like to use the facts, if you look at the case study work that's been done around the country from all the institutions that talk about what works in recovery, all of them say the one predominant factor in people's success is length of stay. Period.
Really?
End of story. And I would say to anybody that's wondering, do your research, because it's out there to find out. And it makes sense if you think about it from just a practical level. Separation from the substance is one thing. A longer-term separation from the substance is another. But when you have a long period of time to work on yourself and change and take a different look at the world through a different lens, things get better and things get different. And I think people can really see themselves after a few months clean and sober, able to say, geez, I see this life as the one that I want now. But it takes a while.
It's interesting what you were saying about length of stay, because I'd never really thought about that before. But now that I'm thinking about it, people I've talked to who, and, I talked to a lot of people who, especially, with the heroin addiction, the heroin epidemic. I've talked to a lot of recovering addicts and whatnot who, when they talk about what they've been through, very often it'll be, I went into recovery and I was only there for a week or 2 weeks, and then I got out and I was right back on it, and it seems like now that I'm thinking back on some of the stories I've heard, it seems like it's usually when they go in and they stay in for a while that's what finally helps them. Yeah.
Well, for sure. I mean, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to look at, the world through a different lens and be open and willing and honest and, committed. And if but once you come to the understanding that, Jesus, the way I was living, I don't want it anymore. I really did have a problem. I need to do something about it. If somebody gets open-minded and willing, they got a pretty good chance of making it. They really do.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, no, I think that's great what you're doing, and there's certainly a need for it now more than ever with some of what's going on out there now. So I'm glad you're there. And why don't we we'll hear another song? Ryan, what do you want to? It was kind of a heavy conversation, so now it's like trying to transition into. Now we got to get Ryan to play something fun and frivolous or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
We'll do more of the same. I'll do a little jam for you. All
right.
Just like I always do.
Should we call this one Fun and Frivolous?
You can call it whatever you like.
Awful title. I apologize for coming.
Don't get rid of that one.
All right.
I'm not going to lie. I feel like 80% of your titles are subpar at best.
Sure, but that one. No, I accept that. But that was a new low for me. Fun and Frivolous. That's like kind of the worst title ever.
I still like Give It a Name, though.
Yeah, Give It a Name was good. That was my finer. That was my finer moment as far as naming songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'll play a little ditty for you.
All right, let's call it Well Done.
Fair enough.
All right. This is Well Done, live from Ryan Lemay, 3/4 or 2/3 or something of the New Prophets here on Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet.
Simple stuff that I show them, like building up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll show the A7 thing, too, because the other thing I teach is, without explaining a bunch of music theory, it may not make sense, but there's a 1-4-5 pattern you may or may not know about. Every single song written in the last 200 years uses this predetermined template. It's very canned. It ruins music forever once you learn about it. So one thing I do after immediately teaching them that is, okay, I just destroyed music for you. So here is what you can do to get out of that. And one of the things is chord variations. And mixing up those 1-4-5s, capoing is a good way that people kind of mix up the 1-4-5.
Yeah.
But mostly just using a bunch of different positions, because a chord can be played in all the way up and down the neck.
Yeah.
So A7, for example. Those are all A7s, first, second, third, fourth position, what have you. So I might just play around with the A7 chord for a minute and just wing something and make it up as I go.
Okay.
All right.
IPMNation.com.
Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. This is Matt from IPM Nation, and we're here with Ryan Lemay and Randy Bartlett, and we've been talking about Sonic Wallpaper and the Riverbank House and all that good stuff. We should, before we wrap up too, Ryan, anything, what's new with the New Prophets? Anything? You guys still playing a lot? Or?
We're still out there. We got some stuff coming up that I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I won't lie, I've been putting more effort into this
Yeah.
than I have that.
No, that's understandable.
But if it's all on our page
Yeah.
on Facebook, look up the New Prophets
Okay.
or facebook.com/Mike and Ryan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's our URL.
Oh, okay.
For the Facebook page.
Isn't there a separate website too?
There was.
Oh, is that gone?
It wasn't worth keeping it up, I didn't feel.
Yeah.
So the charges I was paying every month didn't really reap any serious benefits. I feel like we could say most of what we have to say right through Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That's probably true.
I think we probably need a website for Sonic Wallpaper
You do.
more than we need one for that. And there's actually one in the works.
Good.
I just met with a web designer the other day.
Cool.
And it's going to be a way for people to donate, too. So he's going to set that up.
Excellent.
With staying away from the GoFundMe type stuff and having
Yeah.
a legitimate fundraising campaign.
Yeah.
And at the end of this session, we are definitely going to do a fundraising performance.
Okay.
So it'll be local.
Good.
I'm pretty sure I know where it's going to be. So stay tuned for that because
Yeah.
we really need to raise some money. Like I said, the Riverbank House, from everything I could read and everything I could tell, they've been shouldering a lot of the costs for people that get caught halfway through the program when they run out of money type situation, which you can imagine the position that puts them in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to want to send anyone home
Right.
feeling like they're halfway
Right.
to where they need to be.
Right.
So if they run out of money and they end up shouldering the costs, they can only really do that for so long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Even if you have all the money in the world, eventually you stop doing that.
Right.
So that's one thing that I read that stood out to me is like, I think we can channel funds into that and help out with that. So, which we're going to do. We've raised more money already in this first session, or the first class of this new session, than we did for the entire 10-week session the last time I did it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And there's a lot more emphasis on it.
Yeah.
So part of that is on me.
Yeah.
And then the fundraising, I'm going to make sure that I have all the sponsors and everyone involved there, and as much of the community as I can get there. It'll be twofold. One, see the progress. Kids and adults. There's a lot of adults this session.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say probably 90% this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, it surprises me, actually. Huh.
That might actually explain the additional income too. But it's not just a way for that, but it's also the major point is to raise money for the program.
Right.
Whatever that takes. So we give, like I said, give some of it to Laconia Community Center. We give some of it to LPD.
Yeah.
Which we haven't written them a check yet, but that's coming soon.
Yeah.
Because they have similar programs for kids that they try to do.
Yeah.
But the lion's share of it, I think, from here on out, for as long as it's viable, is going to go to Riverbank House.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, honestly, to raise somewhere around $7,500 in the next 10 weeks, including the benefit show.
Yeah.
And that could get somebody through, or a couple somebodies through the program, or at least help, when they run out of money.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's 10 people. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. It's just even one person, any amount of people, but the more people, the better.
Right.
Clearly.
Right.
So,
of course.
I'm going to push real hard to get as many people as I can there. So
Yeah.
if I'm harping on you or all my friends, I apologize in advance. But I need you guys all there, man. This is the one time where I really need. This is when we really need the support from the community.
Yeah. No doubt. Where should people now? So the website is forthcoming, but in the meantime, where should people go for Sonic Wallpaper specifically?
For the information on it?
Yeah.
So there is a Facebook page set up for it called Sonic Wallpaper. So they can join that or ask questions there if they're interested in becoming a sponsor, if they want to participate in the program. They can funnel all the questions right through there.
Okay.
They can also email me directly at the New Prophets gmail.com.
Okay. Should probably spell that because people don't try to.
You're
spell
assuming
it.
I can spell it.
PR. Well, yes,
Well, is
I
it
am.
a profit or a profit?
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Right. So it's THENEWPROPHETS.
Okay.
.com.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not .com, at gmail.com.
Right.
Gmail.com. And that's my direct email. That was great to me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. There's a second one set up for the Riverbank House. So that is exclusive to the residents at Riverbank.
Okay.
So, but that one says Sonic Wallpaper at Riverbank.
So that new Profits email address, do 25% of those go to Mike, those emails? Or
None of them go to Mike.
okay. Just checking. Anyway.
By design.
And Randy, for people who want more information about Riverbank House.
They can go to the riverbankhouse.net
Okay.
or the launch.net. But the riverbankhouse.net is the primary website.
Okay.
Or they could call me on my cell phone if I dare give that out on the radio.
Well, that's up to you.
You're a brave man.
That's up to you, my friend.
Go ahead and stick with the website just in case.
All right. There might be some Ron Perlman stalkers out there.
Yeah, we
that
never
you
know,
end
right?
up having calling you. Well, guys, thank you so much for
Thanks for having
coming
us.
tonight. Randy, it was very nice to meet you. And Ryan, always a pleasure. And what
Ditto.
What are you going to play to wrap up the show? Should we call this one Always a Pleasure?
Sure. Whatever you want me to do, man. You know that I do whatever you tell me to do. I
Yes.
take all my commands from the tower.
Yes.
So I'm your little monkey tonight, so tell me what to play and I'll do it.
Oh, I like that title better.
I'm a little monkey?
Let's call it, yes. All right, so Ryan Lemay is going to perform live for us one more time tonight on the show. This is called I'm a Little Monkey from Ryan Lemay, 3/4 of the New Prophets here on Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Is it the Monkey song?
Want to do some E minor stuff?
Sure.
I think every time I come, I just make something. I make it up on the spot. I'm just improvising.
That's
Most
good.
of the
Not
time.
everyone can do that.
Well, that's because they don't learn music theory.
Right. That's why I couldn't.
Backs up my claim about how you should really learn music theory. Because you can do whatever you want. It just becomes speaking.
Yeah.
Once you learn theory, you're just talking.
Yeah.
And you know ahead of time, like, what you want to say, right? Especially if you follow whatever format you have set for yourself.
IPMNation.com.